I think our board is really devoted to doing the right things for student athletes. Obviously, Judge Wilkins in the O'Bannon trial has mandated that full cost of attendance become the rule of college athletics, and so we're going to embrace that, but mostly because we believe in it. Relative to multiple year grants, we think that gives student athletes the kind of security that they deserve, and there's a big investment in each student athlete by universities, and so there's a mutual responsibility that goes with the acceptance of a scholarship, but this is intended to ensure that student athletes come to an institution and have financial aid throughout their 4 or 5 years. And then relative to student athletes returning to campus after having left, whether they left to go play in the NFL or play in the NBA or Major League Baseball, or whether they left school for some other reason, they've been a student athlete, they want to come back and get their education, we want to make that possible for them. And it's been permitted by NCAA rules, but this puts a stake in the ground that the Big 12 stands for these three policies on behalf of student athletes. The current GrantInAid is constituted of room, board, books, tuition, and fees, and that obviously leaves some expenses unaccounted for going to school. And the full cost of attendance, on the other hand, is a computed number that each institution has that is based upon room, board, books, tuition, and fees, plus trips home, routine supplies, a pizza out every once in a while, maybe a movie. So the extra expenses that you incur as a result of going to college. And the full cost of attendance is not an athletics issue. It is a number that is derived by the financial aid office on each campus to prepare students and their parents to know how much it's going to cost to go to school. Well, the scholarship for many years has been done on an annual basis, but 95% of those are renewed from one year to the next. So the instance of having scholarships withdrawn is really not very frequent, but I think it's one of those things that cause student athletes and their parents and their families to wonder if they aren't on shaky ground every year. And there have also been coaches who have withdrawn aid for inappropriate reasons, athletic-related reasons. There are good and appropriate reasons for withdrawing aid, but it isn't because of an injury, and it isn't because they haven't performed well enough on the field. If there are citizenship risks or they're not doing the work academically, there are processes that we go through to extricate the student athlete and the institution in ways that oftentimes are good for both of them. Well, the continuing education rule has been in place for some time, but institutions haven't adopted it in any sort of formal way. Everybody knows that there are student athletes that leave early or depart from school for reasons unrelated to their athletics participation. And on those occasions where they have left in good standing and later realize that they want to go back and get a college education, this allows us to do that. Formerly, the rule was that you could get 4 years of aid in a 6-year period, and that rule prohibited the institution from paying any form of scholarship to a student athlete after the expiration of that 6-year window. So this is a progressive rule, and one that I think benefits young people. They've had input. I've met with several student athlete advisory committees on campuses, and there are a lot of really talented, bright, energetic young people that are represented on both the conference SAC and the institutional SACs. So they've had some input, but they're going to have a lot more input in the future. There will be 3 voting members that are student athletes among the 80 votes that are cast every year. So there'll be 3 from the Big 12 and 3 from each of the other high visibility conferences. So fully 15 votes with student athletes. So they will have both voice and vote in the years ahead. There's a long list. I think that we need to really look hard at time demands. There are some proposals around loss of value insurance policies in some of the high visibility sports. in some of the high revenue sports. I think we need to think long and hard about the recruiting environment. I think we need to work on the relationship between financial advisors and agents and student athletes. We need to work with the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball to make sure that student athletes have every opportunity to return to school if they aren't drafted or aren't drafted as high as they would like to be. And you know, there are a number of things along those lines that you know, we just have too many situations right now where our actions and our stated principles are inconsistent with one another. And it's not surprising that there's great cynicism about what goes on in intercollegiate athletics, and I think that we need to work hard to put in place policies that benefit student athletes, and then we need to work hard to make sure that what we say we're going to do is actually what we do.